certain clarity that arrives after 60. Not all at once, not like lightning, more like a fog slowly lifting from a road you have been walking for decades. For most of your life, the world tells you what matters. Work harder, earn more, keep up, stay busy, prove yourself, build a career, buy the house, say yes, don't fall behind. And then one day, usually after enough birthdays, losses, disappointments, and quiet mornings, something inside you changes. You begin to realize that some of the things you chased were never the prize. Some of the arguments you cared about were never worth your peace. Some of the people you tried to impress were never even paying close attention. And perhaps most of all, you realize that the advice given to a 30-year-old no longer fits the life of someone who has crossed 60. After 60, life does not become less meaningful. In many ways, it becomes more honest. Today we're looking at 7 truths most people only understand after 60. And the last one may be the most important of all, because it changes the way you think about everything you leave behind. Truth number 1, your body is a rental, not a purchase. The first truth is that your body is not something you own without responsibility. It is something you maintain. When we are younger, many of us treat the body like a permanent possession. We skip the rest. We ignore the aches. We assume energy will always return tomorrow. We act as if our health is a savings account we can withdraw from forever without making deposits. But after 60, the metaphor changes. You begin to understand that the body is more like a house you are living in. If you ignore the roof, the leak gets worse. If you ignore the foundation, the cracks spread. If you ignore the small warning signs, they eventually become expensive repairs. This is not about vanity anymore. It is not about chasing a younger face, a smaller waist, or an old version of yourself that no longer exists. It is about staying able to participate in your own life. You stay active so you can get out of a chair without fear. So you can carry your own groceries. So you can walk through an airport. So you can play with a grandchild, take a trip, climb a few stairs, or simply move through your day with dignity. After 60, health stops being about appearance and starts being about freedom. And that is the real truth. Maintenance is no longer optional. Maintenance is the rent you pay for your independence. Truth number 2, not every argument deserves your attendance. When you are younger, it can feel important to explain yourself. You want people to understand your choices. You want to defend your opinions. You want to correct every misunderstanding. You want to win the argument, prove the point, and make sure no one walks away thinking the wrong thing about you. But after 60, you begin to see how expensive that can be. Not expensive in money, expensive in peace. You realize that every argument takes something from you. A little energy, a little calm, a little time you will never get back. And eventually, you learn one of the quietest forms of wisdom. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. Someone can misunderstand you, and you can still be fine. Someone can disagree with you, and your life can still continue. Someone can criticize your choices, and you do not have to turn your peace into a courtroom defense. After 60, silence no longer feels like weakness. It feels like self-respect. You know the difference between a conversation that builds understanding and an argument that only feeds someone's ego. You know when to speak. You know when to listen. And more importantly, you know when to walk away. There is a deep freedom in no longer needing to win every battle. Because after 60, the goal is not to be right in every room. The goal is to be at peace in your own life. Truth number 3, your circle gets smaller, and that is not a loss. At some point after 60, many people notice something strange. Their circle gets smaller. The phone may not ring as often. The invitations may change. Some friendships fade. Some relationships become lighter. Some people who once felt central to your life slowly become part of your past. At first, that can feel like loss. But with time, you begin to understand that not every shrinking is a decline. Sometimes it is a refinement. In your younger years, you may have collected contacts, co-workers, neighbors, acquaintances, friends of friends, people from every stage of life. There is nothing wrong with that. Those connections matter in their season. But after 60, You begin to care less about how many people know your name and more about who truly knows your heart. You start valuing the person who checks on you without needing a reason, the friend who remembers what you were going through, the family member who listens instead of just waiting to talk, the person who can sit with you in silence and still make you feel less alone. After 60, you stop confusing popularity with connection. You no longer need a crowd. You need a few people who are real. And if you are fortunate enough to have even 2 or 3 people who truly see you, who tell you the truth, who show up when life is not convenient, then you are richer than many people with 100 names in their phone. The truth is simple. A smaller circle is not always a lonely life. Sometimes it is finally an honest one. Truth number 4, you are not your old title. For many people, this is one of the hardest truths to accept. For decades, work gives life a structure. You know where to be. You know what to do. You have responsibilities, deadlines, problems to solve, people who need you, and a title that tells the world where you fit. Manager, nurse, teacher, director, mechanic, business owner, parent, provider. For years, when people ask, "Who are you?" it is easy to answer with what you do. But after 60, that answer begins to change. Retirement, semi-retirement, career shifts, or simply aging out of certain roles can create a strange silence. The title fades, the schedule changes, the phone rings less, the world keeps moving, and suddenly you are left asking a deeper question. Who am I when I am no longer needed in the same way? That question can be uncomfortable, but it can also be freeing, because the truth is, your title may have described what you did, but it never fully described who you were. Your career mattered. It helped pay bills. It supported a family. It gave structure to your years. It may have given you pride, purpose, and identity, but it was never the whole of you. You were not just the job. You were the patience you developed, the judgment you earned, the sacrifices you made when no one applauded, the wisdom you gained from mistakes, the kindness you gave when you were tired, the resilience you built when life did not go as planned. After 60, you begin to understand that your value does not retire when your title does. The world may not need your old business card, but it still needs your perspective. It still needs your stories. It still needs the person you became while carrying all those responsibilities for so many years. You are finally free to be the person, not just the position. Truth number 5, time is measured in Tuesdays. When we are young, we measure time in large pieces. 5-year plans, 10-year goals, someday dreams, retirement plans, one day when things slow down, one day when there is more money, one day when the timing is better. But after 60, time starts to feel different. You do not just count the years anymore. You start noticing the ordinary days, the quiet Tuesday morning, the lunch with an old friend, the afternoon sunlight coming through the window, the walk you almost skipped, the phone call you almost put off, the conversation you almost avoided. After 60, you realize that life is not mostly made of big milestones. It is made of ordinary days. And that realization can change everything. You stop saving the good dishes for a perfect occasion that may never come. You stop keeping the nice clothes in the closet for a day that feels important enough. You stop delaying the visit, the apology, the hobby, the trip, the letter, the conversation, because eventually you understand that someday is one of the most dangerous words in the English language. Someday can quietly steal years. Someday can become a habit. Someday can become never. After 60, you start to understand that the special occasion is not always a wedding, a holiday, or a birthday. Sometimes the special occasion is simply that you woke up today. You still have a voice. You still have a choice. You still have this Tuesday. And once you understand that, ordinary time becomes precious. Truth number 6, regret is more expensive than failure. When people are younger, they often fear failure. They fear looking foolish. They fear making the wrong move. They fear starting over. They fear what people will say if the plan does not work. But after 60, you begin to see failure differently. Failure hurts, yes, It can be embarrassing. It can be disappointing. It can cost you time, money, or pride. But failure usually teaches you something. Regret is different. Regret lingers. Regret is the dream you kept postponing, the words you never said, the risk you never took, the relationship you never repaired, the version of yourself you kept waiting to become. After 60, many people realize that the mistakes they made are not always what haunt them most. It is the chances they refuse to take. The truth is, it is often easier to live with the memory of a failed attempt than the ghost of a what if. At least with failure, you know the ending. With regret, your mind keeps writing alternate versions of your life. What if I had tried? What if I had called? What if I had moved? What if I had forgiven? What if I had stopped caring so much about what everyone else thought? After 60, courage looks different. It may not mean starting a company, moving across the country, or making some dramatic change. Sometimes courage means joining the class, taking the trip, saying the honest thing, asking for help, letting yourself be seen, beginning again, even when you feel late, because you are not too old to make a new memory, and you are not too old to become more fully yourself. The clock may be different now, but it has not stopped. Truth number 7. Legacy is not what you leave for people, but what you leave in them. The final truth is about legacy. For much of life, people think of legacy in terms of things: the house, the savings, the jewelry, the tools, the photographs, the family recipes, the property, the accounts, the objects collected over a lifetime. And those things can matter. They can carry memories. They can help the people we love. They can represent years of work, sacrifice, and care. But after 60, many people begin to understand that the deepest legacy is not what you leave for people. It is what you leave in them. It is the way your children remember how you handled hardship. It is the way your grandchildren remember your voice. It is the lesson someone learned from watching you keep going. It is the kindness you showed when you had every reason to be bitter. It is the story you told at the table that stays in someone's mind 20 years later. It is the value you practiced, not just the advice you gave. Because people may forget the exact words you said. They may sell the furniture, they may misplace the photographs, they may donate the boxes, they may divide the possessions, but they will remember how they felt around you. They will remember whether you made them feel safe. They will remember whether you listened. They will remember whether you showed them what courage, patience, humor, forgiveness, and dignity looked like in real life. That is legacy, not perfection, not money, not a spotless record. Legacy is the part of you that keeps living in the choices of other people. And after 60, you begin to realize something powerful. You are still building that legacy right now. In the phone call you make, in the story you share, in the apology you offer, in the example you set, in the way you choose to live the ordinary days you still have. These 7 truths are not lessons you can fully understand from a book. They are earned through time, through work, through loss, through love, through disappointment, through starting over, through watching life change and realizing you are still here. After 60, life may become quieter in some ways, but it can also become clearer. You know what matters more. You know what matters less. And you know that peace, health, time, courage, connection, identity, and legacy are not small things. They are the real things. So let me ask you this. What is one truth you only understood after 60? Leave it in the comments below. Someone younger may need to read it today, and someone your age may need to know they are not alone. This is Senior Dossier, where we talk about the honest truth of life after 60. If this gave you a moment of peace, clarity, or recognition, consider subscribing. We'll be here every week, reflecting on the wisdom that only time can teach.